Okay, welcome to Coding with Josh. We're going to go over functions. So we just went over if statements. We learned how to, um, compare numbers and compare strings. So string is a text, right? So it can be like Josh or we went over the word Jack. But really, string is anytime you're using text and not a number. So what is a function? Okay, a function, and I actually have one written up here. So you kind of get, I'm not going to copy this in because it's going to send me into that loop of alerts. Um, but a function is a set procedure that we can run over and over and over again. And so anytime we call, like every function has a name. So this is the name. And then inside of the function are our procedures. And anytime we call this name, it's going to run those procedures every time. Um, so let's just set one up. So to to start, I need to call out function, right? So I've got function here, and then I can say, um, let's just say welcome message. Okay. So we've got our welcome message, and anytime we have our welcome message, we want it to say document dot get element by ID. Um, we're going to say name and inner text equals welcome space. We should probably put a space there, and then we'll put plus. So we can, if you notice in the last one how I did this one, it's called, we can concatenate those things, which means we can join them. We can join it with a plus. And so we're actually adding two strings together. I'm going to say welcome name. So we don't have that variable set up yet, so I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to say const name equals, I can't remember exactly how to do it. I think it's prompt. So this is actually going to like prompt me in my browser. Please enter your name. Okay. So I finished that statement, and then I finished this statement, and this is, what is this going to do? This is going to get our name element, and it's going to put the, inside the text is going to put welcome plus our name, which could vary based on the person. So when we come into our site, notice how nothing is happening right now. I have actually typed everything correctly, I believe, but nothing's happening, and that's because we need to actually call our function. So functions, they have a few different parts. They're going to be called out by a, when we create it, it needs function, and then we need to give it some kind of meaningful name. And then there's these two parentheses which are used to call, like you'll see when I do it later. They're used to call the function, and then these brackets, they create the like the scope around what we're doing. So the scope around our procedure, these lines inside of the brackets, those are the only thing that are going to run. And at the end of our function, it'll just quit and it'll be done. So I'm going to say welcome message. Now the moment, so you can't tell because the prompt came up, but I actually did put the two parentheses. The moment I put parentheses, it did call our function. So I'm going to put in my name, say okay, see how the parentheses show up there, even without, and then I went to close it off, even without the semicolon in this case. So what if we say like Jill, there we go, welcome Jill. So see how that's changing dynamically. And anytime you like hit enter or do something, it's going to cause a change. So just be careful if you're using this prompt thing. So, and I can just, do that, and it just says welcome because I didn't give it a name. Now, that might be a little annoying. So let's go ahead and just take that out for a second. So I'm just going to delete that line, and I can actually pass in things. So I can say name. Well, notice how that says undefined. Well, we haven't given it a name right now. So I can actually say outside of our function, const name equals Josh. and then I can pass through my variable name. Why is this not working? Because I left out a semicolon. There you go. Welcome Josh, Jill, Harry, right? And anytime I update that, it's going to update this. Now I don't have to use a variable. I could just say in string, like in our quotes here, I can say Miley, all of that. But why is this so important? Well, one, I can do this over and over and over again. So I can say, welcome Miley, welcome Jared. And again, it's doing it really quickly and you can't even tell because it's just switching back to Miley, Luke. And the last thing we see it do is this last line, because it runs 6, 7, 8, 9, and it just does it so quick that we are seeing that pop up, the very last one. So it's extremely nice when you're going to do the same things over and over and over again. Also, if I am doing the same things over and over again, and I have to update something, I only have to update it one place, and all of these will be updated. So for maintaining your code later, it's also very helpful. So if I said welcome to our site, notice how it's going along with that, and then maybe I forgot a comma or something, and a period at the end. Now, why did the period not show up? Because we need to also put that in quotes. So a lot of people run into these problems where they go to add things. We need to say we're adding our variable. We concatenated it to that string, but we also need to concatenate it to this string. And so there you go. Now if I take this out, we see Jared shows up. And then we see, let's do that, Miley shows up. Let's just go back to our name variable. There we go. Welcome to our site, Kim. So that is functions. One other cool thing about functions, let's say I wanted to have a optional parameter. This is kind of a little bit deeper, but I think we'll go there. If I want to make this optional, I can have it equal something, and I can say, let's just have it equal nothing, right? If I don't call out the person, then meaning I don't give any parameter, so nothing goes inside there, it's going to, and let's get rid of that. Welcome to our site. So if I get rid of all of our punctuation and everything, and I don't want to pass through anything, it's going to default having nothing. Now if I take that off, it says undefined, which is a little bit silly. So in this case, I would want to, if I'm not always going to pass through a name, I would want to do that as an optional parameter with that equals, and whatever I put here is what's going to show up when I don't pass it through. But if I do pass through something, so let's say Lily, it's going to overwrite what we have here, right? But the moment I don't, and I just pass through nothing, we're going to default to this. So if I said Jake, notice that is what will always show up when we don't put a name. And the moment I put a name, it will overwrite that. So that's what I mean when I say optional parameters, is you put a parameter variable in, but you're going to have it equal something. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, we can do things like this. We can do, a lot of people will do math. So we're going to do add 1. So we're going to say number. So we're going to pass through a number. And let's say return. This time we're going to return something. Return number plus 1. So if I come down here and I say add 1, and I do 3, why is nothing happening? We have everything written out correctly. Well, it's actually doing something, but I'm not putting it anywhere. So what I could say is I could say const new number equals this. So now this is stored in a variable, and then I can say document dot get element by ID. Let's do age dot inner text equals new number, and there you go. So see how now we're seeing 4. I can change this to be like 7, and it's going to be 8. I can say I actually want this to add 10, and then we're 17. So we can do all sorts of things through functions. And again, you can even return information. So I could have just had this line in here, and then put number plus 7, right? And so see how it's doing it, and then we're still returning something that's not really actually being used because we're just doing it here. Well, when I took this out and I put it down here, I was making use of what we returned. So what we returned was whatever we passed in, so like 7 plus 10. So we returned, this turns into 17. I know that's kind of hard to understand if you're like very beginning or starting out with us, but whatever's returned, this gets turned into. So even though I'm saying add 1 7, it ends up being 17. That's like how the computer's reading it. It sees this actually as 17. Or if I put 8, it sees this as 18, even though you and I see it as add 1 8, right? So, and then down here I can say new number again, new number. So this would see it shows 18. That's what it's reading is 18. So whether or not I put 18 or add 1 8, or I could change it to 9, right? It's just returning this, and that's what this turns into. Is whatever it's returned with gets stored in our new number, which happens to be 19. So all the way down, we get 19 here, 19 here, stores it here as 19, and then we output it as 19 on line 7. Hopefully you're able to kind of track where things are going, because that is how we pass variables through functions in JavaScript. Okay. I think there's a lesson here that you can try and do. I should take off that bonus challenge because the alert message is just not that good with this constantly updating. So, but anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and there will be more to come in the future. I plan on doing more lessons and more overviews. But again, thanks for watching and have a great day.